Hey everybody, it's Richard Rowland, which you probably guessed since you're watching this on my YouTube channel. We've got something very special for you today, and that is that we are about to record live. And well, I mean, it's a recording, so it's not live. But anyway, we're about to record an actual play adventure set in the world under starlight. This is for my my game and fantasy setting, Emboria role-playing in the world under starlight, which is currently on Kickstarter today, as you again probably know if you're watching this channel. I am being joined today by some lovely people from the Symbolic World community. And the credit for all of this really mostly goes to David, or at least for starting it, because everyone has made sacrifices of their time and gotten babysitters and etc., for which we're very grateful. But I think it was you, David, who reached out and just sort of said, hey, what if we did a Symbolic World game? We'd love to, we can play with you and we'll record it and then we'll put it up on YouTube for people to watch. So
right. I chased you down because I'm always up for games. So
yeah, it's great.
It sounded exciting to me.
My ability to organize things is impaired at the best of times. As I'm not an organized human being, but when it comes to like in the middle of Kickstarter with a bunch of deliverables and work and everything else, probably wouldn't have happened if it had been up to me. So I appreciate you guys taking it upon yourselves to get this scheduled. So yeah, I'm going to ask the group to go around, introduce themselves, plug anything they want to plug, and tell us what character they'll be playing. And then I am going to set the stage for the adventure. So, David, we'll just start with you.
Sure. My name is David Markham. I'm playing Amsotha, who is a deep man. He lives on the sea. That's all you need to really know about him. But don't forget to go to Jonathan Peugeot's Snow White Kickstarter.
Yep, it's the summer of Kickstarter. I decided.
That's right.
Yep. Very good. Elijah.
Yeah, I'm Elijah. I've been a part of the Symbolic World community for a little bit now. I am playing Ralarak Woodsward, a Chibori Northman. Spends his time in the woods seeking adventure and being dutiful to his community. Very
good. We'll certainly put that last part to the test tonight. Stephanie. Oh, you're quiet or muted or something.
Okay.
There you are. There you are.
There we go. My name's Stephanie. This evening I will be playing Sister Kjanlei, a member of the Starlit Sisterhood of the Chibori, who has spent her time traveling from village to village, trying to cleanse the corruption wherever she can.
Very good. And Jonathan.
Hi, Richard. Thank you very much for having me along. So I am Jonathan. I'm going to be playing Orson, who is heir of House Alfcarden. He is the heir of a disenfranchised Softbori noble house, and he's looking to restore the former glory of his house.
Very good. All right, so the World Under Starlight, the Emboria role-playing in the World Under Starlight, the book that is coming out, it's going to be coming out later this year. You can currently back it on Kickstarter for the next 18 days. The implied setting of the book starts in the year 451 of the Third Aeon, since Senkan forged the Hur Orupaim and led the Amborai to freedom. The Amborai are the children of water and starlight. They're human-ish. They have lives slightly longer than those of ordinary humans, and also skin that is the very slightest shade of blue. The Amborai, as I mentioned, the campaign is really set to start in the year 451. But tonight we are going to take a little bit of a journey through time, and that is because here at home, I've already played through the events of Thunder in the North with my home group, who managed to more or less end the world and then sort of put it back together again. It is in the midst of those broken and sort of hastily superglued together pieces that our session will be starting this evening. So with that said, we're going to be beginning in the year 400, in the spring of the year 457 of the third aeon since Senkan forged the Hur Urupaim and led the Amborai to freedom. Each one of our companions, we have two Chebori, a Nyetbori, and a Softbori. So these are different cultures for those of you who are not familiar with the setting. They're all Amborai, they're just from sort of different cultures, different places. The Chebori are sort of the hardy northerners. The Softbori are the you could say the most sort of like bog standard vanilla Amborians in a certain sense, but also but I don't mean that in a bad way. They're you know, they kind of represent the most ancient part of Amborian culture. And then the Nyetbori are strange men who a sort of a strange, almost still part of the Amborai, but the closest to being their own separate, you know, totally separate culture of any of the Amborian groups, because they live on the sea, they don't live on fixed land, they have or had a great floating city, and sort of live this nomadic lifestyle on the waves. Now, a couple of years ago, in the year 454, the deep men, every last single one of them went missing, completely vanished, resulting in a major drop-off in sea trade and severe economic depression in port towns and island cities. And this isolation allowed an insurrection in the Leopard Isles to blossom. There's a sort of a not an interregnum, but currently a usurper sits the throne of Senkan, and the true heir is nowhere to be found. And a lot of people, knowing this and kind of taking it poorly, have been attempting to revolt. And one of the main places that has had suffered two revolts over the last 5 years, one unsuccessful, and then the other one more successful quite recently, is the Leopard Archipelago. Now, the deep men returned in force about a year ago, and were proved to be under the baleful influence of an entity from deep within the sea. And they laid siege to the holy city of Senkan itself, and almost took it before an army of hardy Northmen led by Onarama the Bald, who is now the de facto ruler of the North, managed to arrive and break the siege, scattering the deep men and sending them scurrying back into the water from whence they came. As a result, the reputation of the deep men, even though it's not the case that all of them were under the domination of this malign entity, one of the many-eyed ones from the deepest parts of the sea. Although it's not the case that all the deep men, all the Nyetbori, were under its baleful influence, they do have a bit of a reputation. And so David's character that he's playing tonight is going to be dealing with perhaps some of that if he makes his identity known. In the aftermath of the siege, King Anwai was forced to recognize Onarama the Bald as the ruler of the North. There are rumors that Anwai is, and then in the meantime, also a revolt took place in the Leopard Isles as an enigmatic character known as the Son of Midnight, or the Midnight Prince, among other things, has managed to take over the island. A most impressive feat, considering that very few people have ever seen the Son of Midnight, or even know who he is or where he dwells. But his followers have taken over the Leopard Isles. He is now its de facto ruler. And there are rumors that the king is mustering a fleet to retake the Leopard Isles, but all of this is complicated by the fact that the king also seems to be slipping slowly into madness. Now, as we begin in the spring of the year 457, it's the hold on. I had the date right here. There we go. Oh. Sorry, my computer was apparently not plugged in, and that is why it is spacing out. Hang on. There we go. Yes, it's the 21st day of Setelmor, towards the end of winter, the beginning of spring, merely a week before the feast of Orosen will mark the new year and the coming of spring. you find yourselves in the Leopard Isles. Now, none of you are actually from the Leopard Isles. And the Leopard Archipelago is sort of the southernmost province of the Emborian nation. It is a beautiful, bright, colorful, cosmopolitan. For the Chaebori, you notice, I mean, you're basically on the other side of the sea. It's significantly warmer here at the end of winter. Whereas up where you come from, winter doesn't even really let off until you're almost halfway through spring. But here things are significantly warmer and sunnier, and you can see the attraction. The Ferkan Kerakamu, or the Leopard Isles, are a very marked contrast from the north, as I said, where the seashore of the northern coast of the sea is dark and frequently stormy. Here it's all white sand beaches, clear sea flecked with sea foam. It's warmer. You find yourself sort of, as you step off the ship that brought you here, you find yourself sort of inclined to shed the outer layers and your heavier seafaring gear, as the warm breezes of the spring are already blowing steadily here out of the east. By now, the north hasn't even started thawing after the long winter. The houses here are quite similar in style to those in, let's say, for instance, in Senkan, for you, Oru-sen. You're fairly familiar with the style of architecture here. Whitewashed granite walls, accented with blue waterstone. But also the construction here is rather more spacious. And most of the living spaces are more or less open on at least 3 sides to the air around them, albeit with heavy shutters, which can be closed quickly in the case of a storm. Now, the population, particularly of the largest island where you find yourselves today, Dlakfi Klorpeim, the population is remarkably cosmopolitan. The capital and port city of the Dlakfi Klorpeim, which is where you find yourselves today, has a large population of Urnen, Aren, and Kothorlas traders. These are all not just other nations, but in actually other races of people. The Urnens and the Arens, sort of normal humans related by blood to the Emborians long, long ago from the south, and then the Kothorlas, the strange Kothorlas traders with their purple beards and forked ears from the distant east beyond the eastern wastes, where the great worms rule. And there are, let's say, tropical heat, at least as hot as things get this time of year, a babel of tongues, the shouts of longshoremen, and the rich smell of spices kind of wash over you in this disorienting wave as you step off the pier and begin making your way towards the Great Bazaar. Now, one of the questions that I have for you, you'll find out why you're here in a moment, but one of the questions that I have for you is, do you all know each other ahead of time? Do some of you know each other ahead of time? What's the relationship of your group?
I don't believe I know anyone.
All right.
Orison doesn't know anyone either.
Okay.
However, Sister Kjanlei and Ralarak have met on 1 or 2 occasions as Sister goes from village to village. They would be not much more than polite acquaintances. Any given village, she probably only visits once a year at best, sort of on her annual beat, as it were. So a polite acquaintance, and, happy to have someone here who, understands that this is overwhelming and it's hot and what on earth is going on, and there is so much more noise here.
Yes.
So she's very happy to have a cultural companion, even if it's not a particularly close friend.
So you do, since you both came from the north, you most likely were on the same ship headed here. The other 2 of you may have found passage elsewhere, but you all kind of step off onto the docks around the same time. And unbeknownst to each one another, of course, you have all been called here for the same reason. There is a bombastic, charismatic, bit of a rascal perfumer by the name of Yalafir. Now, Yalafir, he's a perfumer. And this, so he tells everyone, anyone who's willing to listen, and even many people who are not willing to listen, Yalafirs need to chase exotic smells and scents and unguents and tinctures and all of these kinds of things, sends him on these journeys far and wide across the lands around the sea. At least, that's the story he tells most people. You know Yalafir because you have firsthand experience that Yalafir is more than this. He's not just a perfumer. He's not just a traveler. He's not just a merchant. He's not just a rascal. Yalafir knows people, and he has ways of connecting certain people to other people. Unimaginative people would say Yalafir is something of a spy. Obviously, you wouldn't say that. Yalafir certainly wouldn't say that. But for one reason or the other, he's helped you, he's helped somebody that you care about. You've had occasion to go to him for help in certain situations. For one reason or another, all of you owe Yalafir big time. Enough that when the message came, you had no choice but to get on a ship and sail for the Leopard Isles, plagued though it be by revolution and rumors of war. Now, when you arrive, you look around, you don't really see anything in the way of revolution happening. Things are, seems like actually trade is fairly bustling. The great bazaar of the city of Dlakfi Klorpeim, the great bazaar of the city is just a few yards off the edge of the pier, right? You basically walk into it, and this is where people are unloading cargo. There are people walking around with either pushing carts or just like with long kind of poles behind them with smoked meats and other delicacies. Obviously, the most enticing and decadent delicacy of all, dormice are here in abundance. Although some of the guys closer to the water who are selling dormice, you're looking at what he's trying to sell as a dormice, and you kind of have your doubts about exactly what kind of a rodent that was. But dormice are a great delicacy in Emborian culture. They're raised, fed by hand, and typically speaking, if you were at a very nice dinner, which at the very least, Orusen, you would have been to many such dinners. In fact, your family would have hosted many such dinners. It's typically speaking, they'll bring the dormice out live and weigh them in front of the guests to kind of show off how well fed and healthy they are before they take them back and roast them. Now, there are some people, hard-nosed moralists, who see this as a sign of great decadence and as a sign of the moral decay of Emborian society. But in any case, there are vendors here with all kinds of food and all kinds of meat, and you know the general direction of Yalafir's shop, which is really a large tent erected there by the wharf, where you would assume awaits your coming. So at this point, my question for you guys is, what do you do?
Upon stepping off of the ship, I'm kind of met by all the smells and all the senses that are very foreign to me. And Ralarak likes to think he's well-traveled, but you can immediately see on his face that he really hasn't been, and kind of takes off his traveler's cloak, which he's been wearing for most of the journey, and kind of just holds it in a hand. And he has his bow staff unstrung in his other hand. And you see him just kind of lean forward as he comes off the ship, unsteady, and just kind of taking everything in, and it kind of just hits him in the face, and he just is there stunned, kind of blocking the way off the ship for a moment.
Sister Kjanlei, you bump into kind of his back as he just stops there on the gangplank.
Oh, it's a lot, isn't it?
Quite.
It's very different from home. Are you here to see anyone in particular?
I'm going to an old friend. I have a debt to pay to him. He helped my father out.
Oh, interesting. I am as well. What's your friend's name?
Yalafir.
Well then, would you like to travel together?
You also know him.
I did. He helped my mother out. He brought her some very rare herbs when she was sick a few years ago. He managed to get them in, even though the seas were chaotic. And he said that I would owe him, which he saved my mother's life, so fair enough. So here I am.
Here we are. I don't know if that's chance or fate, but yes, we can travel together.
I am glad to have someone else from Chibori here, because it's so hot.
It
It's only
is.
spring. It's not even the new year yet. Back
Ralarak is
home,
like, you can see him
the
just
river
sweating.
Chafe is still frozen most of the way up.
He kind of takes
and
his
so-
cloak and, oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, so Sister Kjanlei will probably kind of encourage them forward, and she, despite coming from the far north, has a keen eye for trade and knows a little bit about the culture of the Leopard Isles, and she would like to see how prices generally are relative to, like, how is this, supposed insurrection? Is it good for trade? Is it bad for trade?
Give me a trade roll.
Very good.
So for people who are watching, we haven't played the game before, it's a D100 system. Characters have skills, and you're rolling a D100. So these two dice, it's two 10-sided die together. And you're rolling those, and you're trying to roll beneath your skill. So Stephanie, did you...
I rolled,
was that a success?
yes, I passed my check. I rolled a 51.
All right, and what was your skill?
My trade is at 70.
All right, a moment. I have to answer a question for mi esposa.
So
While
I'm
Richard
just
is
walking
doing that,
through the stalls, kind of looking at prices, making polite chatter with some of the merchants. I'm eyeing the wares, maybe engaging in a little bit of haggling, but I'm not buying anything yet. I'm more looking to gather information by means of looking at prices, because the state of the economy, especially of somewhere as cosmopolitan as the Leopard Isles, can tell you a lot.
I gotta make a quick phone
Things
call,
that aren't
guys.
necessarily financial. So you can go ahead, Elijah.
oh, I was just going to ask, just for rules clarification. So you want to be below your number that you have set. So you had a trade score that was, you said like 70,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Yeah.
rolled a 50, so you're good. then.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a bit like blackjack. You want to get as close to the number as possible.
Yeah, the higher you roll beneath your target, the better. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so you can tell that it's interesting because price-wise things are still fairly say higher than you would expect. But there seems to be a decent, like a very large number of people here, like there's actually quite a bit of weight in the port for ships to get unloaded. And if you had to guess, you would say that this is kind of a result of trade being reopened now that the Prince of Midnight has taken over the islands, and that there's probably some drop off in trade beforehand that's recognized by higher prices. But now the Cthorlas from the east in particular tend to control a lot of the trade in the sort of the southern area, the lands around the sea. So like Cthorlas as a language is sort of the language of trade in this part of the world. Even between the Amborai and the Cthorlas, and then the Dalian peoples from the plains to the south. This kind of the language of trade that's used interchangeably between them. So if you had to guess, you would say that things were probably pretty stifled for a little while, and now that the new regime seems to be relatively stable despite all of the strange things about it. People have decided, it's like it's worth the risk, and they're starting to show up again. So things are busy, and you could say, probably went through a bad stretch recently, but are on the way up.
Okay.
All right. Orusen and Giral, what are the two of you doing as you disembark?
So Orson, the first instinct I have is disgust. I've been at sea for a while, and I'm used to breathing the clean sea air. So to arrive at this dock is quite overwhelming. So my first instinct is disgust. My second instinct is to sniff the scent of dormouse on the air, which creates a salivation in my mouth. And even though the species of rodent is doubtful, I am extremely tempted. However, I remember my good upbringing and suppress the urge. I'm softly scanning the area for who might be in charge, or someone that could give me directions, maybe a guard or a portmaster. I'm not looking to hang around.
Fair enough. It's not, you don't have to roll for this. There certainly are guards on duty here. They're sort of wearing this sort of typical Emborian legionnaire attire: chainmail armor, short swords, shields, halberds or spears. But in place of the arms of the king or of the governor or anything like that, they are now wearing the basically the heraldic device of a black panther, which is not one you've actually seen before.
Interesting. So my curiosity is certainly piqued, but they look like they would know where Yalafir's house is. So I will ask them for whatever directions to the place it is that I've been given, or at least get me in the district.
Yalafir, yes, the perfumer, right? Funny little man.
Yes, it's got a big purple tent, the other side of the main square. You can't miss it.
Ah, yes, that sounds like him. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your stay.
We'll see.
Nice. And Giral, what are you doing?
Well, I just
Or sorry, Giral, Emsotha. You've got a couple of names, but anyway, yes. What are you doing?
I disembarked from my own craft, and I have my hood on, and I head directly for the alleyways between the tents as they face out the different. And I walk stridently in an urban gate to the tent, to the back of the tent. I was given directions to the tent because he knew how I shouldn't be seen. So I can probably roll a stealth.
Okay.
I would imagine.
Sure. Give me a stealth roll.
Oh, well under.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there are a few other people kind of back here. Everyone seems to be minding their own business. Most of the action is out in the square, so you are able to kind of slip back behind the tents, and eventually you see the kind of large, porphyry colored linen of even before you round the corner to see it, you smell the tent of the perfumer. It's a heady, too much axe body spray, kind of just overwhelming, like hitting a force field of smell as you sort of smack into it. But you arrive at the tent. There at the entrance, you see 3 other figures sort of arriving or gathered. 2 of them one of them is clearly in the dress of one of the priestesses of the sacred wells, but also with the bright red that denotes the Scarlet Sisterhood, which is kind of an offshoot, some would say upstart, some might even say heretical branch of the cult of the sacred wells. The other is also from the north by his gear and by the great longbow slung over his back. There is also a very well-dressed young nobleman who looks most out of place here compared to everyone else. And you kind of find yourselves almost bumping into each other at the door of the tent.
No one else is in the tent?
Are you entering?
I'm entering the rear of the tent.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
picking up the-
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So I'll come back to the 3 of you in a moment.
Okay.
Yes. So Amsotha, you lift up the kind of the back flap of the tent and
Right.
kind of duck under. As you do,
Servant's entrance, basically.
you emerge into a thick haze of like incense and perfume. You can only see just a few feet in front of you. The heavy smells and spices and everything as you're sort of inhaling. You almost lose your whatever rations you last consumed. You almost lose it for a moment as you kind of adjust and kind of cough and wheeze and kind of try to clear the smoke from your face. And as you do so, you see a small man dressed in bright, like saffron colored robes, with ostentatious golden armbands hanging from these sort of pencil thin forearms, and a large hoop earring dangling from one ear. And he's sitting there and he seems to, with his eyes kind of half closed, and he seems to just be inhaling the scent that's wafting up from this bowl that he's holding in front of him.
I don't know this man.
Oh no, this is Yalafir.
Oh, it is Leopard.
Yeah.
Okay. I come up to Leopard and ask if he has I've arrived as you asked. I'm famished. Do you have something to drink and something to eat?
You kind of walk up to him and start talking to him, and his eyes are kind of like still half closed. You see him sort of moving his lips as though he's talking, but he's not engaged with you at all. It doesn't seem to have noticed you.
Okay. Can I find any food or drink around then? He's busy.
So you start rummaging through his stuff. As you do so, these 3 other people walk in the front of the tent. So the 3 of you walk in to see Yalafir sitting there, kind of like you're not sure if he's even conscious. And there's this mysterious cloaked figure just kind of like going through his stuff.
And I pop my head up and say, "Oh, customers, excellent. Can I interest you in anything to any incense or any perfume? It's the finest."
This is all just immediately suspicious to me, and I don't really know what to do being in a new environment, but I kind of look around and I assume I see Yalafir right there.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, he's right there.
And I say, do you work for him? Question mark.
Yes, I'm a new employee. I do have honey tongued, if this will help at all.
Yeah, so normally when it comes to like deception with other players, we don't roll for it. It's just you
Okay.
just play it out.
Play
yeah.
it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's deeply suspicious to me, but everything is deeply suspicious to me. And being in a new environment, not wanting to make a scene, I say, oh, no, I don't need anything. Thank you. I'm just here to talk to my friend.
He'll be with you in a moment. Anybody else?
What are you doing here? Your people pillaged my lands, besieged the holy city, left my father destitute. And now here you are in this tent, trying to sell me things without a word. Explain yourself.
It's happened before. You think I'm a deep man? No. How could I be a deep man?
You certainly look like one.
I know.
You speak like one.
To my regret.
I sort of step forward and just kind of put my hands up. We can all be friends here. Let's just calm down. I'm sure Yalafir can sort this whole mess out. And I kind of like walk up to him and snap my fingers a couple times. And
He kind of like spills the brazier that he's been holding, and like some of the ashes and like little coals go kind of like flying across the room. Everybody like spends a minute like trying to stomp him out. Oh, you're all so early. Please excuse me, my friends. I was
We saw what you were doing, Yalafir. It's okay.
lost in conversation. Yes. Very, very, very sorry to have do you ever have one of those dreams, where like you have to go to the bathroom in the dream, but then really you have to go to the bathroom? Or like someone's talking to you in the dream, but then like somebody's actually trying to wake you up. That is what that was like. So yes, I'm very, very sorry. Very confused. Welcome. Please have a seat. Can I interest you in something to eat, something to drink? Perhaps a perfume for the lady. Or actually, some of you are quite smelly, so.
I would like something to eat and drink.
Yes, of course. Please have a seat. I will return in just a moment. And he kind of hustles off to the back, and you hear some sort of like general clanking of like pottery and metal, plates and cups and things like that. At some point there's like a like the snarl of a cat as Yalafir kicks one. He emerges a couple of moments later with a small but relatively filling repast. There are he's got 2 smoked fish, something of the sort of the herring family. But yeah, 2 kind of large smoked fish. There is wine, actually very good and very strong wine from the Southlands, and also just a kind of a general assortment of dried fruit and nuts, which is in the Leopard Isles is very common. Like it's sort of like chips and salsa for them. So it's like dried fruit and nuts with like just a very like kind of a kind of a honey glaze over the top of it. So it's finger food, and it's like just enough that you're kind of sticky when it's over. Yeah. So yeah, he starts passing things out, pouring the wine, and as he does so, he's asking you questions about your journey, about your trip, about how your voyage went, things like this. He inquires about people in your life that you didn't even know that he knew.
You've become an excellent employer, Yalafir. I didn't know that not only had you hired this man here, but that you served him lunch with your guests as well. That's extremely considerate. and
Hire this
compassionate.
man? Well, no, I mean, I suppose I'm going to hire all of you, but that brings us to the business. The business. I suppose you are always wanting to get down to business. I remember this about you.
He seemed very keen to sell me perfume.
Oh,
So
oh,
I had
that's,
assumed that
that's very
he
nice.
was
of you,
running the
Anshota,
stall
to,
whilst you were
keep this
lost
keep this
in
store going.
conversation, I believe you said.
You were busy. I thought I would help out.
Oh, that's is very thoughtful of you. He's a very thoughtful man. You know, don't let his big fish eyes confuse you. He's actually very thoughtful. Yes, I actually brought you here mostly to make an introduction. As I'm sure some of you may remember, it has been my my most humble honor and privilege to help you out in the past with one or two small matters of delicacy, such as the procuring of special herbs for your mother and so on. It is in this vein of a sort of mutual friendship. You know, I rub your feet, you rub my feet, so on and so forth. I've invited you to partake of the stunning weather and the delectable cuisine of the Leopard Isles. And all I ask for in return is that you meet with a friend of mine and perhaps help him out.
With?
Well, yes. My friend
help him with.
Oh, help him with. I believe he has a small item which he wishes to have recovered. It is my belief that the four of you, with your various skills, your knowledge of ritual practices, and your background as a skilled and cunning duelist, and so on and so forth, that you will be most helpful. Would you like a little more wine?
Water for me only. Thank you.
The same.
It's really your mistake. It's very good wine.
I took my vows.
Very good. You should have some more.
All right. Well, yes. So, once you are done eating and drinking, whenever you are ready, I will be happy to make the introduction for you. And then what you choose to do after that it is up to you. But I promise you, my friend has the capability of being most generous.
I sort of half make the stand up. I'm all ready for business, and I see that everybody else is still sort of eating away, and I kind of sit back down.
My young friend, you are too nervous. You are too how do you say, you too tightly strung, like one of those longbows of yours. Now, what you really need, you need a glass of wine, and you need there are yes, a glass of wine. There are I saw a couple of mice running around outside. I could send the cat out, and we could
No mice. No mice.
It's okay, you know. Not everybody likes to eat it off the hoof. I understand, but yes, you are very tightly strung. What you need
In the north, we don't have time for such things.
Yes, because it is always so cold, and it is always so dangerous, and you're always being invaded. This is exactly why. Ralorak, I wanted to get you down here to the south, so that you could live a little, eat good food, drink good wine, meet some beautiful women. Yes.
I think there are more honorable things to living than that.
Honor. Oof. You're going to like my friend. You two, you will get along. He's also very highly strung. All right. Well, if you are ready, I will make the preparations. You can continue to eat and drink, and in a moment, you will meet him. And he begins kind of like cleaning out the brazier that he'd been burning earlier, and refilling it with a kind of fresh charcoal. You see him goes over to where he's got sort of the rack of like perfumes and spices, and opens up a couple of cabinets and brings some things out. And he's like looking at vials and shaking them and listening to them and opening containers and sniffing them. And eventually he begins to mix a concoction.
As he's doing that,
oh,
go ahead.
I'm grateful for the assistance you rendered to my family in our hour of need, but we have spent 300 years nestled in unbroken splendor in the bosom of the king, and now we're exiled to the edge of the forest to be eaten by bugs and starlight knows what else, and now you're summoning us here to play errands to fetch some item. The wine was very good, but I, for one, will be taking the next ship home. Thank you.
But
I think it's
surely-
best. I think it's best. Go.
surely you want to restore the fortunes of your house, my friend.
I think I can do a better job back home where my father needs me and the demands are more urgent than in this disgusting place.
At this point, he sets the brazier in the middle of the room and gets a coal from the fire and brings it over and starts to light it. But don't you understand, my friend? The man to which I'm going to introduce you, he has the potential to raise your fortunes, your father's fortunes, to raise all of our fortunes. He's a most charismatic, interesting, and powerful man. I would not have called you here if I had not thought it would be to your benefit.
Well, I'll listen to what you have to say. And to what he
Leopard,
has to say.
don't you hear the man? He's very busy. He's a very important man. You should let him go.
Yes, but he's also so highly strung, you know? All right. Well. He kind of coughs a bit as the incense kind of flares up in his face and stumbles back. I think that should just about do it. And he just kind of like slumps back onto a cushion. And as he does so, the world starts to go dim for the four of you as well. And when you kind of open your eyes, you find yourselves reclining on a white sand beach by the sea. There is you hear kind of like the sound of running water, not just like the surf, but you look back over your shoulder and you see there's a very small waterfall where a very beautiful clear stream running down runs out into the sea or out into the lagoon, overlooking like a small like grotto, like a small cave by the beach side. And you can smell the smell of food cooking coming from the grotto.
I scan the surroundings. I'm immediately on guard, being put into a new atmosphere. Do I see anyone or anything?
You can definitely see a tall, sort of dark figure moving in the grotto, but it's because you're looking through like this very thin sheen of a waterfall, you can't make out who it is.
Do we see each other?
Yes.
Okay.
I say, this is perfect. This is perfect. I wasn't done eating, but he provided us another meal. Let's go.
By the pole star, where are we? What is this?
This is most unusual.
You guys are heading towards the waterfall?
I am.
I follow along and I say, well, nothing for it. Let's go see.
Do we
what he
have any
wants.
equipment with us? Do we have our weapons with us?
You
is
were
this
all kind of wearing the same sort of like clean white tunics, with the exception of the well priestess, who still seems to have her garments on. But
Well, I
at
still-
this point, at this point, it's completely obvious that Amsotha is in fact a Nyetbori, because he's like his cloak is gone.
I position myself between the two as we walk, just in case.
I knew it.
You come up to the edge and step into the water, and it's weird because when you step into the water of the pool at the base of the waterfall, you feel the coolness of the water, but you don't feel wet. You just feel like kind of the temperature change. It's cool. It's kind of refreshing. It's like a cool breeze kind of blowing past the water only comes up to about your knees. It's like a cool breeze blowing past your legs, but you're not wet. And when you step through the waterfall, it's the same thing. There's the sensation of coldness that kind of washes over you in this refreshing wave, but there's no moisture. And you reach up and you touch your hair, and it's still perfectly dry. Your clothes seem unaffected as well. And as you enter the grotto, you step up onto the cool stones. You see a tall man. His face, no matter how he moves, is shrouded in the shadows of the cave. So you can only make out sort of the high, noble forehead and cheekbones of somebody of, clearly like ancient, noble Dalian blood. But almost his entire form is wreathed in shadows and in a great blacker than midnight, panther skin. And he's there sort of cooking, roasting what appears to be like a young goat over a fire. And he looks up in your direction as you walk in. Well, 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 my friends, I see you made it to Yalafir at last.
Who are you? What are we doing here? How this?
You may call me the Son of Midnight. I am the ruler of these islands by ancient right and hereditary, and I am happy to say, also their de jure ruler following the successful overthrow of the servants of the usurper Onway.
Onway is the rightful king of these lands.
That is your opinion, but some would say that his brother Galal, if he still lives, is the rightful king. Onway does not wield the sword of Senkan. He is backed by turncoats and renegades, those who fought against Orenuan during the Civil War. I know your family, and I know that you are no lovers of King Onway, not since his partisans expelled you from your place of favor.
I told Laruthir not to bring him with. He should have gone home.
King Onway the Swordless is no friend of me or my family, but he is still the king.
His older brother is dead, but we don't know that.
There are some say that he is not. In any case, what good is a king who has not the tokens of rule, has not the blessing of heaven, who does not aid his people when they need him, who sends no help when the poisoned tides come drifting out of the east, who sends no help with the Nashburi pirates, plague our shipping lanes, who cannot even defend his capital against an uprising of the deep men. I have it in mind to bring peace and prosperity to the Leopard Isles. And for my part, I would gladly acknowledge Onway's overlordship if he would care for us as he has done for the people of the North. Give us our own rule. Let us make our own laws. Then we'll pay his taxes and fly his banners and fet him when he comes to visit. But it's become increasingly clear that he cares nothing for us. So why should we care for him? Now, I've called each one of you here with the help of our good friend Yalafir, because an opportunity currently presents itself to us. An opportunity to bring about the peace and prosperity and the stability of this realm, whether you follow King Onway or myself. Because unfortunately, there are other parties at work who seek to disrupt this delicate balance of peace, which we have so recently struck. Dark parties, sinister people with aims, care nothing for the Leopard Isles or for our people, who care only for themselves. I assume you have all heard the name Tengelbur Silverhand. Jonathan, you can give me a culture own roll about this. And actually, so can Elijah and Stephanie. Actually, you can all give me a culture own roll now that I think about it.
Perfect.
Now, typically speaking, the clash system is a sort of one roll per scene per person. So like, in other words, what I mean by that is like, you wouldn't all make a perception check. Like one person would make it and that would ride. But in this case, this is to determine what each of you know individually. So.
Orison passes.
You made it?
What role was it? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Culture own.
Culture own.
Yes.
Success.
Okay.
I failed.
I also failed.
Okay. So Orusen and Sotha, you both have cause to know the name of Tengelbur Silverhand. Orusen, in your case, you know that Tengelbur Silverhand was the scion and heir of the Sapnanor house. It's a noble house of kind of the old party as well, who actually is sort of a case where people from opposite political parties married, and they were too hot for some, too cold for others, and fell into disfavor and ill repute. Tengelbur himself was known for had a very dissolute reputation as a duelist. There were quite a number of occasions involving young ladies and their honor, including his own sister, whose suitor he killed in a duel. The last that you'd heard of Tengelbur was that he had actually murdered the governor, the original governor of the northern province in Ralakar. That he murdered the governor along with a group of friends of his before going missing and being presumed dead, only to turn up again in the Leopard Isles sometime later. He's a famous duelist. Obviously, he is He's kind of infamous for, having assassinated at least one, possibly more, of King Onway's close advisors, and just generally sort of a troublesome person by reputation. Amsotha, you know the name because, according to the legends and the rumors, the prophecies of a group known as the Sons of Orusen, and the what you've been able to piece together about recent events concerning your people when you came out of your kind of self-imposed exile, is that Tengelbur was one of those who shattered the Starstone and brought about the ruin of your people. So I'm sure you're all perfectly aware of Tengelbur Silverhand and of his reputation.
It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yes, he is a good example of what can go wrong and maybe right when a family loses their honor.
He is in the Leopard Isles currently, fomenting dissent and rebellion, both against Onway and against me, attempting to take advantage of the delicate balance which we have so recently restored. The ports are finally open again, trade is happening, the crimes are being judged and punished, order has been restored, order which Onway could not keep. And now this vagabond comes here to lay his own claim, not because of right or birth or valor or merit, but simply because he sees an opportunity and he wishes to seize it. He is everything that is wrong with this day and age. And I would like you to steal something from him. Steal or take or reclaim. He bears a sword, an ancient Sothory weapon, made of the Nyetboru weapon, made of the bones of. Hold on, I gotta make sure that's right. Just a second. Yes, that's right. An ancient weapon made by our ancestors long ago. Anovikala, the death of serpents. It is a dangerous blade. It makes him a very dangerous man to challenge in battle. And I would that it could be recovered so that he could not use it in service of his own selfish cause.
Do you have a specific location where he or the sword might be found?
That is a difficult question, let us say. He can be found in the streets of this city, although he has eluded my attempts so far to use some of the darker elements of our fair city to try to bring him to heel. However, he is known to have two residences or hideouts. One, he can often be found at a, please forgive me, sister, at a house of ill repute. known as the you can't really see his face, but you kind of get the sense that he's smiling slightly. Known as the Busty Baroness, I believe. Here in town. If he cannot be found there, there is one other place you can look for him. And this is where things get interesting. You will perhaps be aware that beneath the convent of the Ram of Dawn, there is an ancient set of catacombs, an ossuary, really, a city of bones. For obvious reasons, people tend to avoid it. But I have reliable information that this is where Tengelbur and his little merry band of outlaws and ne'er-do-wells, that this is where they have taken residence, and that it is from these catacombs beneath the city they make strikes and raids and undermine peaceful and law-abiding citizens. So, my hope is that you can find him, and either by challenging him to a duel, although I don't recommend that, or by bearding him in his lair, so to speak, that you can find him and take the sword. It will be a clear message to him, to all those who follow him, that he is not as powerful as he believes.
What does Mother Zishune think of all of this?
Nice. The Abbess of the Ram of Dawn is a wise and courageous woman. It was she who first raised the standard of revolt against Onwe's oppressive regime, and although it was quelled, she is too loved and respected by the people for them to have executed her. As far as what she thinks about all of this is difficult to say. Unfortunately, the abbess does not share the respect that I have for her. That is to say, it's not exactly mutual. I believe that this will change in time.
What I mean is, can she, obviously the catacombs are part of the land that she keeps, can she not trap him? If she is powerful enough to raise a revolt, as you say, surely, and he's known to spend time beneath her convent, her holy land, why has she done nothing?
I'm not sure whether or not she's aware of what's going on. But
As everyone is talking, I go up to the fire and break the leg off of the
Yes.
creature he's cooking. And
as you start to, I wouldn't recommend that, my friend. In dreams such as these, it is dangerous to eat the food.
I throw it in the fire, the leg.
My apologies. I should have mentioned something sooner. In the form which you currently wear, it's dangerous to eat the food. As for the abbess Zishune, I can't say. I don't pretend to know her motivation. She hasn't made me privy to her counsels. I don't know if she's aware or not. I choose to believe that she's not. Because if she is aware, then she is harboring an outlaw, which I don't think she would do.
Satisfies my curiosity.
This is the quest. If you should choose to undertake it, you have, well, you have the sword, which is yours to keep once you recover it. In addition, our mutual friend Yalafir is authorized to remit a handsome sum to defray your expenses and make the risk worthwhile. A sum with which one could, for instance, begin recovering one's fortunes or help the beleaguered people of the north.
Not much for politics, but I have a duty to Yalafir, and
We have a duty to our people.
yes, we do.
Very well. I will.
I feel there are larger things going on here than we know. And I'm not keen to strike a blow in this war that I only discovered existed less than 5 minutes ago. However, desperation and ambition compel me to accept this.
And you get to keep the sword.
But what of you three? I don't even know your names. I am Orison of House Alfcar. I am a duelist, although not as good a one or reputable one as Tengelbur. But I will assist you where I can.
Well met, Orson. I'm Ralarak, Northman, woodsman, huntsman, protector of my people. I'll make sure that we stay protected and we get the sword.
That is a mighty bow you wear. If you know how to use it, I think I am in good company.
He's not
My
the only
brother.
one with such a bow. I'm Sister Kjanlei. I'm also from the north. My people come from near the tainted river. And it is my goal one day to see it cleansed. And if a handsome sum of money can feed them in the meantime, then I'll see it done. And I support you, son of midnight. I support the right for people to rule and govern themselves. The bargain that was struck with Anorama the Bald has done great things for the north, and I hope to see something similar happen here in the Isles.
This is all I desire. And if you don't mind my saying so, although you may or may not be aware, Scarlet Sisterhood has been instrumental in the success of my restoration.
Then allow me to continue the noble tradition of my sisters.
It would be a great honor. Now, I will I'll let you get started. My friend Orusen, I can't pretend that I am telling you everything. This is a delicate cause. We are standing on the edge of a knife. But what I can tell you is that I want what you want. The good of the kingdom, the restoration of the old houses. There's none older than mine. And the restoration of order and safety in the realm.
I will think upon what you have said. The kingdom is indeed plagued by troubles.
At this point, you see him look over his shoulder as though at somebody, and he turns back to you and he says, I believe you're about to wake up. And Odusen, and Sotha, and Ralarak, the three of you awaken once more in Yalafir's tent. Sister Kjanlei.
Yes.
So I need the three of you, who I just named, the three gentlemen, to drop off the Zoom for a second.
Oh,
I
Oh,
will
boy.
text you, I will message you on Discord when you can jump back on.
perfect.
David's working on it.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. As
Okay.
the other
Having an
three-
extra long nap.
it's not really that much longer. It'll just be a couple of seconds.
Okay.
The three figures around you fade away. And you find yourself standing alone in the grotto with the son of midnight. And he says, because you are the Scarlet Sisters, there is one more thing with which I must entrust you. The others seem like good people. Yalafir vouches for them. That goes a long way with me, but I don't know them. And what I have next to tell you is a matter of great delicacy. Truth be told,
As dear to me as starlight itself.
truth be told, I care almost nothing for this magic blade of Tengelbur's. However, he has something else far dearer to me than any blade. My son. There was one of your order by the name of Thorinrai. We worked closely together for quite some time. And she came with child. I know such things are frowned upon among the well priestesses, but your order, to give credit where credit is due, is less strict about such things.
Is she your wife then?
She was my wife. Tengelbur. The child was taken into hiding by your sisterhood for her protection, and Tengelbur. One moment. Hold on. Sorry, that was the pest control guy. So yeah, he says, so Tengelbur seduced Thorinrai, turned her against us, against the order, against me. They took my son, and they are now keeping him in the catacombs beneath the city. He must be recovered at any cost.
How old is he now?
He would be 8 or 9 years old.
I'm
This is
sorry
a-
for your loss.
This is a great secret which I'm entrusting to you because of my long working relationship with the sisterhood. There's no amount of treasure, there's no cost I would not pay. There's nothing I would not do. Yalafir will help you with any preparations you need,
Very
but
good.
you must find your way to those catacombs. And
I will speak with Mother.
you must recover my son.
What is his name? Do you know?
I do know. Hold on. His name is Klorpeim.
And what does he look like?
Boy
How
of
would I
eight-
recognize him?
a boy of 8 or 9. A noble face, clear skin, fair hair, like the Dalian people. What you
Very
choose to
good.
share with your companions is up to you, but I'm afraid that the Scarlet Sisters do not get a warm welcome at the convent of the Ram of Dawn. So take that into your consideration when you make your plans.
Thank you. I will see how I progress with Mother. I'm sure that my admiration for her standard of revolt will perhaps make her a little more friendly. And if by my life or my death I can restore your son to you, then that is what I am willing to give.
Thank you. All right. All right. David, Elijah. Yeah. All right. So the three of you awaken in Yalafir's tent. About 30 seconds later, Sister Kjanlei wakes up as well. Whoa! How was the trip?
A wonderful vacation.
Certainly something, thank you.
Very good, very good. Well, if there's now that you know the mission, if there's anything that I can do to set you on your way, I have been told to spare no expense. So how can I help you?
You seem to have many resources throughout the city, correct?
Yes, of course. Yalafir knows everybody.
We have a task, I'm sure you are aware.
I mean, Yalafir knows everything, but also he does not know things he should not know.
That seems to be contradictory, but moving on.
Yalafir is a very contradictory man. He holds many worlds within himself.
I have noticed, my friend.
He is a lover, he's a fighter, he's a mixture of perfumes, he's a cook, a very good cook.
I take a little piece of the fish that we were eating before, take a bite. Indeed, indeed you are. We're looking to hunt down a man and his sword, and I thought perhaps a man of your qualities could be of some assistance.
Ah, you want to see a man about his sword. Yes, 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 yes. Well, I am sure that you know by now that the man in question is quite dangerous. Does not often show his face in the streets by daylight. But there is a begging your pardon, sister. There is a how you say bordello here in town. The Busty Baroness, I believe. Not that Yalafir knows about such things, but I've only heard by reputation. Where he sometimes keeps rooms degenerate that he is, obviously.
Can I make a check to see if he's lying about his
Could you give me a perception check?
patronage to said establishment? That is going to be a 13, so that is a success.
He's probably a little better acquainted than he is trying to let on.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah. Don't forget to check off the first time you succeed with a skill, by the way, because anything that you succeed at least once during a session, you have a potential to get an advancement at the end of the session. So
I want you to know, I know a little bit more about Tengelbur than I said. He has a fearsome reputation, and I strongly recommend not challenging him in combat, if possible.
are you talking to me?
My recommendation would be to perhaps observe this establishment.
I, for one, will be doing no such thing.
Very good, sister.
I think we should catch him with this tunic off. I agree.
Well, I would say if we see him at the establishment and he isn't wearing his sword, then we proceed to the ossuary and see if we can find it ourselves.
Perhaps
Unless
it's
you want to
best.
charge in with swords and bows and do all of that.
You're suggesting that we plunder the graves of the holy ones, whilst he is off plundering something altogether different.
Don't you lecture me, sister, turning up here in your scarlet robes and your bangles. You're barely even a proper priestess.
King Onway has no queen. Your priestesses in Senkankar are no better than me. Where there is no queen, there is no power.
You want to write things down. You want to, if you next you'll be engraving things in stone, and you'll abolish the whole idea of priestesses entirely. If you don't memorize anything, why do you even need priestesses? Next you'll be saying you can get married.
It's not unheard of.
Look, I'm not sure now is the time to do the whole politics, religion thing. We have a job to do, and I think we should just do it and put aside our squabbles.
Words.
Insulting my holy sisterhood.
So what
Maybe
say
we
you?
can make a deal not to insult each other for the time being on the job.
Well, I suppose our lives do depend on it.
So what is the plan?
It would be unseemly for a sister to haggle first, so I will let the gentlemen tell you what they think they need, and you and I can discuss the finer points of our blow later.
Personally,
Laura,
I don't much like the idea of splitting up. And if the sister doesn't feel comfortable going to said establishment, then perhaps
Well, I can speak with Mother while you fellows do that. Mother's not going to want to be overwhelmed with, let's be honest.
No, I think we all need to stick together. Every person counts. And my recommendation is we observe the busty Baroness for
What is your
Tengelbur. If we see him without his weapon, no pun intended, then we go and not rob, of course, but visit make a pilgrimage to the ossuary to see what might be discovered there.
Perhaps it might be best for us not to be seen at the Busty Baroness. Yalafir, do you think you could send someone to do the dirty work for us, and then we could take the sword from the catacombs?
To the Busty Baroness to do what exactly?
See what information can be found.
I mean, I'm sure I could find somebody willing to make the trip.
It might be best for the four of us to stay low key if we're intent on stealing something from someone.
Yes, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. So you want me to send someone to the Busty Baroness to just see if what the Tengelbur is there?
If he's there, if he brings the sword, how long he stays, if there's a pattern, if he
And they're
comes
just
at
going to
particular
Kick
times.
down the doors to all of.
Yalafir's a man of many skills. I'm sure he has ways to get the information he needs.
I will find someone to go. Where will you be in the meantime? Where can I get a message to you?
I was hoping you could also help with that.
So you have to be more specific. You want to wait here? You want to wait somewhere else? What are you looking to do exactly?
Maybe we could get some rooms at the Busty Baroness's and then wait there.
I mean, they've got very comfortable rooms. I've heard this just by reputation.
I'm going to go with the reaction Sister Kjanlei is making and say that that's not a good idea.
I, again, will be doing no such thing.
Sister, nobody's asking you to do something that they do there.
Look,
We're going to be
apparently-
doing something else.
The plan is to get rooms at the Busty Baroness. And also
Perhaps-
the plan is that we are not permitted to split up.
Right. Perhaps we could clean out the Busty Baroness's rooms.
I definitely don't want to do that.
Trying so hard
We're going to
not to
scrub
spill water everywhere.
the
every time you guys
sheets
say the
of
word
debauchery.
Yes. Well, at least we know now why they call them the deep ones.
So we're not going. I think that seems
Well,
sorted.
there's no reason that you gentlemen can go, and I will go do something more appropriate to my station. Mother Zishune is famous even in the north.
I don't think you'll catch anything if you go.
What's the plan, guys?
We seem to be at a
Seem to be at an impasse.
impasse.
Yalafir, what would your advice be? You know the city better than any of us.
If Tengelbur keeps rooms at the Busty Baroness, you might be able to find clues there, even if you cannot find him himself. So I would say visiting the Busty Baroness is a safe bet. However, I understand the sister's reluctance to sully herself by stepping foot on such premises. So I would recommend that perhaps she could go to the, she mentioned wanting to go to the convent, which is a much more appropriate place for her. So perhaps one of you goes with the sister to the convent, and the other two, I will take you to the Busty Baroness, and we can go from there. And perhaps then we can rendezvous at the convent when we are done. I mean, when once we found whatever it is we are going to find, is what I mean to say.
I can go with the sister then. And that way us people of the north can stay together.
Ugh, you're leaving me with this one.
Maybe you'll work through some issues.
Nothing better than casual racism in a game. Oh.
Very well. I accept your proposal. Nothing to
Very
be
good,
done.
very good. So you can find your way to the convent. It's very large and holy. You can't miss it. And these two gentlemen and I, we will go search the Baroness, the building. I mean, not the. But anyway, all right. So see you later. Goodbye.
I make my way out with the sister, and I kind of give Yalafir a look. And as we're walking out, I kind of lean in and say, "Okay, I just need to get this sorted with you. I'm not that much of a stick in the mud, am I?"
No, I wouldn't say so. No. There's just a lot. It's very colorful and hot, and the smoke and the spices, and perhaps we're all a bit sticks in the mud down here. But there's not very much mud down here. It's mostly sand. Stick in the sand doesn't.
It's just a lot.
There's a lot.
It is.
Can't get to
So
everything.
I think whatever smells Yalafir's got going on here, they're not going to be any better in that building. So for that reason alone, that's good reason to avoid it.
Agreed.
If for nothing else. So I'm going to go speak with Mother Zishide. Apparently the Scarlet Sisters are not terribly welcome there, but I'm hoping that with my the respect for the earlier revolt that she did, my support for an independent Leopard Isles, in the same way that we have an independent North, I hope that perhaps I won't come across as such a stick.
It's just Yalafir made a couple comments. But yes, I think we'll be just fine. Do I need to wait outside while you speak with the mother?
I don't think so. I don't think she'll be inviting me sort of into the inner sanctum or anything of this nature.
Oh,
We'll play that by ear. We'll see
lots
what
of
Mother
people
says.
met-
It's her convent, so it'll be
Yeah,
her
lots
rules.
of people, men and women both, visit the convent. It's not a big deal. So yeah. All right. So
Perfect.
so you guys are headed to the convent. In the meantime,
Yes.
Orusen and Amsota, you accompany Yalafir to the Basti Baroness, which is more or less identifiable by the sort of the large painted sign of a sort of cartoonishly well-endowed woman, but it's faded, so there's almost really just like two melons. Really, all that's left on the sign. When you open the door, whatever you were expecting, this is not it. It is fairly clean. There's no like prostitutes lounging around or anything like that. It's just like I mean, it's not a very well-to-do establishment, but there are like a few tables, a few people seem to be eating dinner, but there's really nothing out of the ordinary happening here, actually. At this point, a very large woman, you would assume the Baroness in question, although she's well past 60 by this point. She comes up to you as you enter. Hello, gentlemen. Willoughby. Perhaps you'd like dinner or a room?
Just a drink for me, and perhaps a little conversation.
Oh, right, of course, a drink. Drinks all around then. And
Yes, a wine for me, please.
do you want wine or like wine, master?
Just wine.
Just wine. In Amboria, just wine means like rice wine. So a moment later, she brings out kind of like several ceramic bowls and like a carafe of like basically what is essentially hot sake, and pours it out for each of you.
Could I have some water as well?
Water, of course, yes. And yeah, it's no trouble. There's water. Any food that you guys want to order, you can easily get here. It's really cheap, really cheap.
Yeah, let's get some food as well. I've heard this place has a very good reputation. Even some people with reputations sort of coming here. Any sort of famous people?
Her eyes narrow a little bit. Reputation? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, just
we've all heard the stories. Right, just because it's called the Busty Baroness, you think it's a what? What?
it's got a fantastic reputation. We were just wondering who else comes.
This is an honest establishment. I don't know how to explain this to so many people.
Yes, yes, of course. Your bustiness.
What? She picks up the nearest thing, which is like a large wooden spoon, and just cracks you across the face. There'll be no more of that. The running joke here is that the Busty Baroness is actually just a normal tavern. But because of the name, the players always assume, like every time I run a group through the town, they always assume it's got to be a brothel. And then they show up, and so anyway, the reputation has gotten around now, which is completely undeserved. It's kind of a poor tavern, but it's just a normal, yeah. So.
Fantastic.
Could I get a room? Could I get a room as well?
Well, only if you plan on being more polite than your friend here.
Oh, not for him, for me. He's barely my friend, actually. I don't really know him very well.
Fair enough. Yes, you can certainly get a room by yourself.
And do you think you could move us to somewhere a little quieter, maybe table by the edge of the tavern, just so we can
yeah, there's
have quiet conversation.
Yeah, it's not hard to you can get like a booth in the corner or something like that.
Sounds good.
So yeah, she a few minutes later she comes back and still giving Orosen like some serious side eye. Amsotha, she takes you upstairs and shows you a room, gives you a pretty large bronze key, unlocks the door, gives you the key. It's a small room, fairly tidy. You would guess like there's just like a low to mid number of fleas in the mattress, and yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I go and call on Amsotha. What is the plan? I must say I don't do much of this sneaky stuff.
I have to say I'm also very surprised. I was expecting this to be a much more interesting trip, to be totally honest with you.
Well, I figured I'd get a room. There's rumors that he has a room up here, so the closer the better. Perhaps we could knock on every door on this floor and see who answers.
Perhaps we might do something of more subtle means. Maybe finding the guest log, or bribing someone for information, or listening to conversations.
Sure.
All right. Well, you guys decide amongst yourselves how you want to approach this. Sister Kjanlei and Ralarak, the two of you find your way without too much trouble to the convent of the Ram of Dawn. It's a large, sprawling complex. Some of it relatively recent construction, some of it incredibly ancient. So all of the sacred wells, the religion, the sacred wells is all really based around the these naturally occurring springs and wells throughout the lands around the sea. So there was a naturally occurring spring here, and a long time ago, many aeons of the world ago, a shrine was built over it dedicated to the Ram of Dawn. And basically, since then, over time, a much larger complex has grown up. The convent of the Ram of Dawn is the sisters of the convent of the Ram of Dawn. The well priestesses of the Leopard Isles, in other words, are the hyper orthodox, you could say, like super rigorists, basically the polar opposite of everything the Scarlet Sisters represent. And as a result, when you enter through the gates, and there's like a decent crowd at the gates. There are always pilgrims coming in and out. A lot of people actually travel from all over the kingdom actually to come on pilgrimages for various reasons to the convent. But so you're not really noticed when you enter through the gate, but you get to the you notice that the actual sisters of the convent, like when you come in, they're more or less studiously avoiding you. And finally, there's like a kind of like a large guest house. 1 second.
Sota, what do you think the plan should be?
All right, sorry guys. Yeah, so they're kind of like studiously avoiding you guys at first, and then when you finally get to like the large guest house, which is really the first large building within the walls of the convent, one of the sisters, as you enter, approaches you walking very stiffly.
Very good. Sister Kjanlei sort of expected to immediately scandalize everyone, but is making a clear and concerted effort to mitigate that. So she's walking with her head slightly lowered. Her hands are underneath her robe to hide the fact that she is indeed wearing jewelry. She can't do much about the bright scarlet robe, nor would she want to. She doesn't want to hide who she is, but she is clearly making an effort to respect the fact that she is on someone else's holy ground, and is trying to be, let's say, as ecumenical
Sure.
as possible.
Sure.
I'm just following along behind, and as we're walking, I lean forward and just kind of quietly, kind of looking around, seeing the looks that the sister is getting, and I just say, "This is all you. You take the lead on this one. I'm just out of water here as I am in the rest of the city."
Sister Kjanlei kind of gives him a short nod before returning her attention to the guest sister, or to the sister approaching us.
Yes, can I help you?
I was hoping, with your blessing, to be able to speak to one of the older sisters, or perhaps Mother Zishune. I have long wanted to meet her, for I have admiration, great deep admiration for what she's done for the people of the Isles.
You wish to meet with the abbess herself?
I understand that she is a busy woman, but if she would be willing to receive a humble penitent, I would be extremely grateful.
Do you have an appointment, or perhaps a letter of recommendation?
No,
I see. Well, I shall certainly bear your request to her personal secretary, and you can come back tomorrow and see if she'll see.
What is your name, sister?
Vitherai.
I'm Sister Kjanlei. I'm from the north.
Yes, I did notice.
We aren't all what you think we are.
Did I say I thought he was anything in particular?
She gestures to the sort of wide berth that she's been given. And I imagine that there are other folks kind of looking on at this, this meeting, which is presumably in a relatively public place. You did not say any such thing, but I know what they say about us elsewhere. And we aren't all merely the compendium of rumors that make it all the way down here.
Well, I'm sure that the others will be happy to hear that. Sister Kjanlei, you said?
Yes.
Right. I will pass your name along, and perhaps she will be able to meet with you.
Thank you. Do I have the leave of the sisters here to make my way through the grounds and pay my respects? This is an old and ancient well, is it not?
It is. It is open to all pilgrims.
Even ones in scarlet.
As you say.
Thank you, sister. Starlight bless you.
And you.
And so with that, Sister Kjanlei is going to start kind of walking the edge of the convent walls. But she's not looking for the well per se. She's essentially trying to make a mental map of doors, buildings, where the entrance to the ossuary is, kind of trying to, just get a mental map of the place. And look to see, are there multiple entrances to the ossuary, that are like labeled as, like crypt this way, for people to go and pay respects or pray, or what have you. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, if she sees the well, if she happens to sort of come upon
Yeah,
the well,
I mean,
then of course she'll stop to,
yeah, there's a pretty extensive like structure around the well itself. Like it's not like
Okay.
it's not an open air kind of a thing. It's
right.
more like a oh, thank you. My wife just brought me some food. It's more like a like a temple or kind of a shrine around it. But basically it's the shrines, the well shrines, like, and this would be true of small ones as well. This one is just at scale, but are basically like kind of pillared, usually sealed on 3 or 4 sides, although this one's a little more open. And then there's like a set of stairs going up on all sides to the mouth of the well.
Okay.
And then the roof above the well is always open to the sky.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean it's very large.
So she will go and pray some prayers. Dip her fingers in the well if that's sort of the done thing. Here she sort of glances at some of the other pilgrims to she again is trying studiously hard not to offend. Any more than her mere presence does. But she's also looking for like, where is the entrance to the crypt?
Oh yeah. Give me a perception roll.
Okay. Try to do it here. That is faster.
Can I help her with that check, or how does that work?
How does helping work?
You can basically give 10% of whatever your skill is to add it to her skill.
Okay, I will do that. So 7. You can add 7.
Okay. I failed.
Okay. So you are, for the moment, completely boggled by the scale of the shrine here, which is not really like anything you've ever personally seen.
Oh, it's
There are hundreds of priestesses here and acolytes and just various people serving in different capacities. You've arrived in time. You wouldn't actually go up and touch the well during this time.
okay.
You have arrived in time for a ceremony known as the opening of the book, which
Okay.
sort of
That's
inaugurates.
evening then, right? That's sort of
Yeah, it's basically early evening.
vespers.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And for the at the opening of the book, there are a series of hymns that are sung. This is in a sort of pre-festal period still, but there are a series of hymns that are sung for the. There are different ones depending on the day of the week. Since this is the evening before Ian Roll, which would be like Wednesday. There's the hymn, the primary hymn of love that is sung just before the opening of the book itself is the song of the dance of Alitalia. Alitalia was the daughter of Orusen and the one who married Lananomen when he came to the
Okay.
Indies.
And is this a hymn that I would know?
Yes.
Is this something
This
that
is
we
one. This is one of the 30 that
Yeah.
that you have to memorize.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the hymn's going.
I would
on.
probably stay for some of that.
Yeah.
But if it would not be super conspicuous for me to
No,
leave.
not at all. People are moving in and out.
So I would lean over to Ralarak and I would say, I'm trying to find the entrance to the crypt. I don't know if there is more than one. This place is huge. You've seen the well shrines back home. You could fit 20 of them in here.
It's a lot.
It's-
Perhaps we could ask if that's not too conspicuous.
Yeah, maybe an acolyte, maybe not one of the sisters. Sister
That's a good idea.
I didn't seem to like me very much.
Yeah. I'll stay here, and if you want to find an acolyte and ask, and then once you found the location, let me know and I can investigate.
Okay. So I will go and find someone who looks like an acolyte or like someone who's like not currently part of the service, but is like doing other things. I imagine, even cleaning a place like this is probably a constant effort. And I will just go and ask, ask where are the crypts?
You come upon a small, dark-haired girl who is I mean, I say small, she's not a child, or she's just like with a small frame, kind of a young woman.
Right.
She's just dressed in like kind of a long black dress, not particularly clerical or anything, but she's just, she's kind of sweeping up the courtyard right outside the
Great.
shrine.
Yeah, perfect.
Hello, sister. You're wearing
Scarlet. Yeah.
Huh.
I'm a long way from home. And I was wondering if you could help me find the crypts.
Name the crypts.
It's quieter there, and everything here is very noisy.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, I suppose. Well, I don't know if it's quiet or not, but I mean, I don't think you really want to. I mean, you don't really want to go down. Why do you want to go down there?
Yeah, the idea of cold and death is nothing foreign to us in the north. I have friends that I would see again in there.
Give me an influence roll
Sure.
or deception. Give me a deception roll.
Can it be influence? Because all the honored dead are my friends. I'm not lying.
I'm gonna say it's kind of a fast talk sort of a thing, so I think it's gonna be deception.
Oh, okay. Not my strong suit at all. No. Fail.
If you want to spend a fate point to reroll, you can certainly do so.
I'm going to actually invoke my cultural virtue
Ooh.
of risking tooth for treasure.
Ah,
'Cause this is
yeah.
both a daring and inadvisable course of action.
Okay. How
so-
low is your deception?
15.
Good grief.
See,
Okay, go ahead and
I'm
roll
honest.
again.
I am a good, honest nut.
Go ahead and roll again.
Oh no, I thought using your cultural virtue
Oh, you're
upgrades
right.
a failure to a success. Just
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
okay.
Okay. All right. Good enough.
This is daring and inadvisable. So
Yes.
let's go.
Well, I suppose I've heard of people doing things like this. There are entrances here, but really, if you want to sneak in, sometimes young people do, you know. There's an entrance just on the south side of town. The catacombs run all the way out there.
It must be vast.
There's some old standing stones. They're supposed to have been raised by the Stone Kings.
Yes, we know of them.
That's who they say dug the catacombs a long time ago, before we came to the islands. But there among the standing stones is a cave entrance. You follow it down. Whenever you come to a fork in the path, they say you're supposed to follow where the air is colder. That'll take you to the catacombs, but I wouldn't go in very deeply. Nobody, we don't even bury our dead there anymore. Your friends must be very old. The catacombs are guarded by dreams.
Guarded by dreams, you say?
Yeah, you've got to be real careful down there.
Thank you. And I will, just to thank her, I will pull out sort of 20 silver stars out of my
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. She looks at it like,
some for you, 10 for you, and 10 for the convent.
oh, of course.
I don't know
of course,
where to put them. So if I could trust you with them, the other 10 are for you. Maybe find yourself a warm meal tonight.
Thank you. I don't know what to say. Thank you. She
Thank
runs
you.
off before you change your mind.
Yeah, no, great. I wish her all the best. And I will return to Rallara and share everything she just told me, basically.
All right. So in the meantime, back at the tavern, what are you guys doing?
Sota, come here.
Yep.
Okay. I think we need to find out which rooms are his. See if he's in there. And then search it. So our first step is to find out which room is his, which we can go on.
You know, I haven't signed in yet, so I could just go to the guest book and sign in and look for his name.
Perfect. A deep one that can read and write. Fantastic.
What? Could you write down what his name looks like?
Yes, of course I will. Of course I will. Let me do that for you right now. And well, if it gets a bit difficult, he scribbles down. If it gets a bit difficult, just steal it. We'll put it back. We'll put it back.
I'm not very good at stealing. I'm just good at looking.
Yes. Well, good.
Could you write down what my name looks like too?
Oh yes, of course. I take out some paper from my supplies and scribble down. What's your name again?
Sota.
Okay. I scribbled down.
Sota.
Sota. Okay. Right. Right. There you go. Let me know if you need anything else. All right.
Okay, so I assume we're in the room that I rented, right? So I'm just going to go down to the guest book, saunter, and open it up and look. Check the paper. Look. Keep going down. Check the paper. Look. Do I see anything?
So you go down and give me a stealth roll because I assume you don't want to be noticed
Sure.
as you
All
as you
right.
start to kind of search through the guest book or
Sure.
register. Yeah. What's your skill?
60.
Oh no. Do you have a cultural virtue you can invoke here?
No,
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Do you want to spend a fate point to re-roll that, or are you gonna let it stand?
I'll spend a fate point.
All right, give me another roll. No matter what the second roll is, you have to keep it.
Okay.
So he rolled a 71 and then he rolled a 70. So that's yeah.
That's
Yeah.
heartbreak.
So you kind of sneak downstairs and you look around. Seems like nobody's paying attention. You kind of hop over the counter and start rifling through the register. Are you just giving Orusen a hard time, or are you actually illiterate?
I'm not very literate.
Okay.
And I was giving him a hard time a
Yeah.
bit.
Okay. You don't see, you flip through the first two, or like the 2 or 3 most recent pages. You don't see the name Tengelbur in there anywhere. But as you're doing this, you kind of hear a kind of a tap 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 on the heavy foot of a woman on the floor behind you, and you turn around to see the Baroness herself. Roy, can I help you?
Where do I sign for my room? I forgot to sign for my room.
Nice. Give me a deception roll. You can do this one with just because that was so quick on your feet. That is I'll give you a this will be an easy roll, so 20 plus 25%. You come across as so
Plus 25.
yeah,
Okay.
in other words, plus 25% to your target.
All right.
I was convinced. That was good.
That was quick. It's quick.
Oops. Oh yeah, I passed.
Okay. This is clearly the sneaky lying person in the party. You should have gone to the shrine. She kind of squints at you and flips back over 2 or 3 pages and points out there's no line. There are lines, but it's the paper is ruled, but it's been ruled manually. There's no like printing. But she points to one of the blank spots and she says, "Maybe you can just make your mark here, dearie."
Okay. So I signed my name.
Okay.
Head back up.
Okay.
So are you saying that I was able to look through that book at all, or no?
You looked through like the most recent pages from like the last 2 or 3 weeks. That's
Okay.
about as far as you were able to get.
Okay. So can I go, is there a bar kind of serving
Yes.
area, a bar
Yeah. Yeah.
on that floor? I'm going to go up and ask for a glass of water.
Okay.
Could I bring this up to my room?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Could I have a second one?
The bartender is a little confused, but makes you pours you a second glass of water.
Okay. So I bring those up And I get back to the room, enter, and said, I saw nothing. I saw no name. I saw a few pages, and I signed. And I give him back the 2-page papers that he gave me. And I say, keep these.
Okay. What next?
Well, I should like to breathe these in. And I take one glass and breathe it in, take another glass and breathe it in, holding it. Can I do a heaven's whisper now
Oh,
while holding this water in my lungs, I suppose?
That is disgusting.
yeah.
Don't
This
you have
is like,
somewhere you can do that in private?
Do I have gills?
you don't have actually. So you're not required to have gills to breathe underwater, but like certain Nyegbor, if they spend too much time in the wrong kind of water, do have them.
Okay.
You-
So a little water is trickling out of my gills as I do
Oh,
this,
no.
kind of running down.
All right, so you want to do
The heaven's whisper in a trance.
is that Harmonious Tides or Storm of Fate?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, are you doing Heaven's Whisper? That's not a right. Like, what do you?
It's a trait.
Oh, okay. So what is it? Hold on. So
Oh,
so tell me what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to locate the sword.
Okay, so the rights that you have are Boon or Bane, Toy of Fate, Harmonious Tides, and Storm of Fate. The Heaven's Whisper trait. Let's look it up. I don't think it's going to cover this. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, so there's lore for augury. So basically, this one would apply to just like finding something. Basically, if you were making a lore test about
Oh, I see.
something that had to do with augury, you'd get a positive trait.
Oh, I
But
see.
it's not just like it's not like a locate spell.
Okay. Well, in that case, all the water comes out of my gills, washing down. Like, that's it.
Completely degenerate Nyegbori behavior taking place right in front of your eyes, Orison.
Great. Did that have any purpose? Did you just do that to make you feel better? We're in a serious situation here.
Lubricates the membranes.
I missed the water. I do this occasionally. When I'm away from the water, I need to refresh myself.
All right.
Great. Well, now your gills are watered. Hopefully we can get on with doing this mission. Right. Fine. I'll have a go. So, Orison is going to try and find the Baroness and...
Oh, it's you again.
Hello. I wanted to say I'm so terribly sorry for slandering the reputation of this venue. We've actually had a fantastic time here.
Oh, you say so.
It's
I don't
been
know how these rumors get around.
it's been better than we could have expected. And well, I'm actually looking for an old friend. It's actually the purpose of my visit here. And he's from a noble house as well. You might be able to tell, but I'm from a noble house. Not that you would.
Right, does your noble friend have a name?
It's a bit of a strange name. Well, when I knew him, when we were growing up, he went by the name of Tengelbur. I don't know if that's still his name.
Give me a perception roll, Jonathan. Yep, there you go. Oh, 3. That'll do.
Yes.
You notice that when you say the name Tengelbur, the Baroness like sort of twitches or like jumps a little bit or something like this, but then immediately regains her composure. Tengelbur, eh? I'm no sorry, can't say I've ever heard of him.
Never heard of him, eh? Well, I do want you to know that this information is extremely valuable to me, and valuable to the people I know. Would you be amenable to helping us out, or would you know who would know? I suspect you know more than you're letting on.
Look, I'm a simple woman. I just try to run an honest business. I don't know anything about any of this. Look, right, a nice gentleman asks to occasionally use a room, and his coin is as good as yours, and that's all I know about any of it. So,
Thank you. Which room does he take?
I don't see how it's any of your business.
Oh, well, just I wanted to see if he was in, if I could visit him.
Right, well, if you got a message for him, you can leave it, and when he comes back, I'll give it to him. If he comes back, not saying I know he's coming back.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Okay. I'm going to head upstairs to Amsota and share what I know. We know he's here. Still don't know which room it is.
Okay.
What's next?
I stand up and go to the room facing me and knock on the door.
There's no answer.
And then I turn around. Shall we continue?
How many rooms are there?
There are only about 6 rooms on the 2nd floor.
How many rooms are there in the total place?
That's it, really. This is a pretty small establishment.
All right.
And not a hotel. It's like a very small, like basically a large house.
All right.
Do we have any weapons? Do I have my spear thing on me?
Yeah.
Kind of.
You've got
Okay.
your stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to
Nothing
knock or shall
forward?
I? Do you know how to fight?
Yes, I know how to fight. Not with doors, though.
No, the people that answer them.
Oh, yes, I can look after myself. Why don't you have a go at fighting this door and see if you can? Well, we would make a bit of a bad reputation for ourselves, but we'd have to be quick. The Baroness wouldn't like us very much, even less than she does now.
Their
And
water's
that's
not
saying
very,
something.
their water's not very good, so
You like it with a little salt in it.
yeah.
Well, that settles it. Let's
So-
start breaking some doors down.
Busting down the door.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. You kind of get your halberd from your room, and what, you're gonna just try to like lever the door open?
Pardon me?
You're
I
just
didn't
gonna like try to lever the door open?
I suppose that would be a smarter move. I'm glad you're here, Yalafir, to remind me to not knock on doors, but to bust them open.
If I could make a suggestion, not that you don't totally have this situation well in hand, but in my long illustrious career as a perfumer, sometimes I accidentally lock things and then I have to unlock them again, but I don't have the key, and so sometimes I have to finesse the locks.
Oh, Yalafir, I actually You were so quiet, I completely forgot you were here.
He's been drinking.
And perhaps when you answer, you could say door-to-door perfume salesman. If-
Door-to-door perfume salesman. Right.
That's
So you
right.
want me to
When you open the door, say, surprise, door-to-door perfume salesman.
I probably won't do that part, but give me a moment with the lock and let me see what I can do. Yeah, Yalafir easily, with suspicious alacrity, is able to pick the lock to the first door. You open it, the room is empty. Doesn't appear anybody has stayed here in quite some time.
Could you relock that door?
Yeah. So you close the door and you relock it. There are 4 others to try on the floor.
I say we keep going.
All right.
Yeah, knock first to see if they're in, and if not,
So you knock at the next door, and there's a young couple staying there. Doesn't appear to be anybody you're looking for, as far as you can tell.
Laura there, ask him about perfume.
Do
Ask
you
him.
want to buy any? Does the lady want to buy any perfume? No.
It's the best.
Who even are you? Who let you in here? This isn't a thing. What? Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, they don't want to buy any perfume.
Oh. Have a good night.
You knock at the third door, and there's no answer.
Try to unlock it.
Orison gives Yalafir a little nudge.
Yeah.
Gestures at the door.
All right. Yalafir picks the lock, attempts to pick the lock again. Yeah. Yalafir is super good at this. Yalafir picks the lock again and cracks the door open, peeks in. It looks like nobody home. It is it's a slightly larger room than the first one that you entered. It's actually a little larger and a little nicer than your room, for that matter. It is there are a few things here, like personal effects. Doesn't look like anything of great value, but it does look like somebody is staying here.
Okay. Is there a door to an adjoining room as well, or no?
No.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, if I go in there, they're going to think I'm a thief. But if you go in there looking as you do, of course, it was just a mistake.
Sort of a driving while Bori kind of a situation. Yeah, Yalafir nudges you, Oruzan. He's talking about you. You should go in. Yeah.
Me, my father saw me doing this. He'd be ashamed. My house wouldn't do this.
Yes, well, if your father saw me doing this, I would be hung. So you go in.
I don't know what I'm doing here, but checks to see that no one's here looking, and
I won't tell
Okay.
anybody. I'm not going to tell anybody
not gonna
between
tell
you and
anyone.
me.
Not even the one in Scarlet. Definitely not the one in Scarlet.
Definitely.
All right. Okay. All right. Fine.
Oh, you see?
Deep breath.
Not Dickens, sometimes, that's so these sort of hijinks, they make for some very strange bedfellows, if you know what I'm saying. Yes.
Absolutely.
Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. She's a priestess. All right. Yeah, give me a perception roll to search the room real quick there, Jonathan.
Hey.
Yeah, so let's just plan on a part 2. We can figure out we'll just go until you guys need to stop, and then we'll pick up again in a week or 2. And in the meantime, we can post part 1. So people will get to watch it.
So we probably reasonably have one of us has 45 minutes left.
Yeah, it's okay. So we'll because it's more fun. Like it's no fun if somebody has to duck out. So we'll go for another 45 minutes, then we'll call it. Is that a success there?
It is, yes.
Okay, very good. All right, you begin kind of searching the room. There's a few things here, just some like clothes, no books or anything like that, but there is a like an old pair of boots, rather worse for the wear, and just a few other personal effects, but nothing of great value. But when you search the desk, you kind of think back to like your own furniture back at home, and you know the way that old families tend to sort of hide things. And you spend a few minutes kind of searching the desk and like kind of pressing and twisting on different parts, and finally you find what you're looking for. A small, what looks like just a knot in the wood, but when you depress it, a small secret compartment in the other side of the desk pops out. It's a very small drawer. In it, you find several loose leaf sheaves of paper, parchment, on which something has been written. You kind of squint at it for a moment and you feel like maybe you've just had a stroke, you're not sure, it doesn't make any sense, and then you realize it's got to be something in a cipher. In addition, there is what appears to be a large gold, not really a coin, more like a medallion or maybe an amulet. It is on the one side, it has a kind of a stamped or graven picture of the Ram of Dawn. And on the other side, it has what at first appears to be a an incoherent set of patterns, just like grooves and lines and everything, but like very close together, almost like looking at like Celtic knotwork or something like that, but less organized. But as you kind of squint and hold it into the light, you start to realize this is a map.
Okay. Is the cipher immediately decipherable?
No.
Okay.
No, this is the kind of thing that would take several hours and some successful lore tests to decode.
So, gentlemen, we reach a impasse. Do we want to
I keep using that word.
steal it, or do we want to take a copy and, as best we can,
You know, in Yalafir's many years of experience as a perfume sailor, I have found it, and he kind of like reaches over and starts taking his boots off, and he takes off a boot and kind of digs around inside it for a minute, and eventually he produces a very questionably smelling piece of vellum, very tightly and thinly rolled together, and then he digs around in the other boot and eventually pulls out like a stylus and a very small pot of ink. I think that with a little bit of time, Yalafir can make a copy of this, and then I will put it back. In the meantime, I think we can safely guess that this is the chamber of your target, and that he is not here right now. So you should probably go meet with your friends. I will see you back at the bazaar when you have finished.
very good. Sota, shall we?
Yes.
Very good. I will stay here. I will make a copy. I will poop in his bed, and then I will leave. And nobody will be the wiser, except for the poop thing. That was a joke, though. I'm not really going to do that.
Okay.
But so you're going to keep the map and give it to us later?
No, I was going to copy the papers.
Okay. Quickly. And we'll take the map with us? I'm confused. I'm sorry.
I don't know. You're the one. This is.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yes,
I'm just gesturing. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Just-
Oh,
All right. Yeah, I would just take all the papers. I would just.
Okay.
And he just like start stuffing them down inside of his boots.
let's go.
Although now that I mention it, I really do need to find the bathroom. Which is a perfect segue to let's take a 5-minute bio break.
Okay.
And then we'll pick up again with you guys rendezvousing at the convent and go from there. All right.
Very good.
So, having gathered a few clues at the Busty Baroness, the much maligned Busty Baroness, I should say. You guys, actually, in the middle of things, I texted the old the main play group and let them know, is like they're trying to decide if they're going to go to the Busty Baroness. And so then later, one of the players messaged me back and he was like, "So did they go?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I said, "I think they were a little confused to find that it was just a restaurant." But anyway, so you guys, having unearthed a couple of clues, some encoded papers, and then also this medallion with the image of the Ram of Dawn on one side, and what appears to be some kind of a map on the other. You make your way through town back to the convent of the Ram of Dawn, where you find Sister Kjanlei and Ralarak waiting for you at the gate.
Welcome back, friends. Did you find what you're looking for?
Friend, that is certainly an upgrade. However, we did find some interesting things.
Sure you did.
We found a cipher. We haven't been able to discern what's on it, and we found a medallion with what looks to be a map on it. Neither were immediately helpful, but there we go.
May I see the medallion?
No. Yalafir is copying it.
No, Yalafir is copying the cipher.
Oh, we didn't.
I assumed so. My impression was that you guys were keeping the medallion, and then Yalafir was keeping the cipher to copy it. But then you were like, "Let's just go." So then he just stuffed the papers into his boots, and you guys left.
Okay, so do we or do we not have the medallion?
I thought that you did. So
Okay, we do have it. Yeah,
Okay.
we've got it. So, well, we couldn't make heads or tails of it, but I raise it.
Don't show it off. It's probably a relic or something. Give that to me.
I'll
I'll snatch it, and so that we're not like, in case it is something
Sure,
that
yeah.
came from like the abbess's personal room. We're not sort of waving it about.
Actually, as you raise it, Odozen, you notice that the image of the Ram of Dawn that's on that one side that's currently facing you is the same as the huge image that's above the gate.
Ooh,
Like a kind of like a large sort of metal icon.
wow.
I'd like to look at the side with the knotwork / map. And specifically, I'm looking for any indication that the paths might match, at least at the very beginning, the information that I was given. So if there's like an initial sort of line and then like a left.
Give me a lore test.
Okay. Wish I was good at any skills. I seem to be consistently getting requests to roll things that I'm not good at. All right, we'll see. Yes. All right, I passed.
Okay. You're almost certain that this is a map of the catacombs.
Okay. So this, and she's gonna kind of slide it into the
Yeah,
sleeve.
I assume you
of
guys
her-
are kind of like walking away from the press of pilgrims.
Yeah,
and everything.
I'm leading them slightly towards the south side of town. And while I'm doing that, I will explain to Orusen and Amsota the interaction that I had with the young acolyte, who explained to me. So there's an entrance. It's not here on the convent. The entrance to the catacombs is on the far south side of town. There's standing stones, so I guess I don't know. Do we know, like, is the south side of town considered like seedy or like anything
nothing
like
like
that?
that.
No, it's
It
just like a
is-
different. Okay, I didn't know
Yeah,
it was like.
it is like the older quarter of town. Like, I mean,
Okay.
that's the part of town that the convent itself is in. Like it's
Okay.
like this is where like all the oldest construction and whatnot is.
Okay. So there's like a cave on the south side of town, and she told me to follow the coldest air, which makes sense and is going to be extremely comfortable because I'm sweltering, honestly, let me tell you. And she said that the first fork would be left, and look, it matches. Look. And she points out, where sort of the kind of branches left on the drawing. So I think this will lead us where we need to go.
That is fantastic.
So
And
we
I
just
also
need
have
to
something that
find-
is equally exciting and surprising. The busty baroness is not a brothel.
Thank the stars.
Who would have believed it?
Well, I am pleased that your honorable reputation remains unsullied by such debauchery.
Also, the next time we go off and sneak things, can we not send the guy that's in the bejeweled robe to go sneaking around?
That's a fair point.
I can sneak.
I stood out more than usual amongst the sisters of the old rite.
Sorry, sister, I didn't mean to derail you. This is very exciting.
I am pleasantly surprised that you are overjoyed that an establishment is in fact not a brothel. That's so anyway, so we just need to find this cave. But apparently, so the young acolyte, she was sort of sweeping the courtyard or what have you. She said it was guarded by dreams. I don't know what that means, but I know we all had a sniff of Yalafir's stuff and we had a dream. So I don't know if that's gonna happen again. She said it was guarded by dreams and that you wouldn't want to go too far because it was carved out by the Stone Kings. That's a long time ago. So, but it's probably just, it's really dangerous. And I'm sure that Silverhand has worked hard to continue the impression that it's very dangerous.
Guarded by dreams. Well, that
So, like, don't fall asleep.
doesn't sound very pointy or painful.
It doesn't sound as dangerous as Nashvori or wolves, so. But then
you
again,
also-
dreams can be a tricky thing.
Can you shoot a dream though? She kind of taps her bow. You can't.
You can't even eat it.
Of all the things under starlight, dreams are some of the most mysterious.
It's true. Do we want to make one more stop by the bazaar before we look for this cave? Do we need any? I'd like to get some rockweed personally. I think it will come in handy.
Are we
did
just going
need
to
to
go
get some-
and ask them if they have anything that killed dreams?
Given
It might
Yalafir's
give you
experience,
coffee.
Yalafir might be a good one to ask. given that he's already sent us into a dream. Maybe he has some, I don't know, perfume to help us out.
Coffee and perfume. It's, I mean, my ideal sort of shop, really.
Weapons of choice.
Yes. So either walking around. I don't know. Do you need any other things from the rest of the bazaar? I think we should get supplies and maybe spend it because it's getting late. So maybe we sleep and then we go tomorrow. It's getting late, and I think the middle of the night after a long day's travel, because we all just got here. I know I'm tired. So maybe a good night's sleep, and then that will give us one more chance to plan how we want to go in, what we want to do. That would be my suggestion.
I think your advice is apt, sister.
Thank you.
All right. So you guys head back to the Great Bazaar.
As we're
and or Yalafir's tent.
as we're returning, can I don't know, we've just been involved in a lot of kind of seedy shenanigans.
I don't know what makes you say that.
Just stealing things and lurking around and all that. I just want to make sure we're not being followed or anything like that. Can I make like a perception roll or a
Yeah, give me
survival
a
roll?
perception roll.
I don't think that was a success. It's my. Nope, that is not a success. That is a fail.
As far as you can tell, it's clear. Things are fine. Nobody's noticed you. You just one
We
person.
just went on a pilgrimage.
That's right. Just a few
You know.
pilgrims,
Yeah.
travelers, etc. In a sea of visitors and merchants and pilgrims and everything else. Yeah. As far as you can tell, nobody's noticed you're here.
You could sort of tell that I am on edge, and maybe it's just the new environment, and northerners are not always used to such large cities and so many people, especially for myself. But you can kind of tell that I'm still looking around, kind of just on edge, a little anxious.
Absolutely.
Richard, I would like to, on my travels everywhere, I would like to, if I see anything shining along the road or path or wherever, if I see anything shiny, I'd like to pick it up and put it in my
I mean,
bag.
most of the shiny stuff is in the bazaar itself. Now, some people might take a debut on like just sort of picking things up from booths and putting it in your bag, but
No, I mean,
yeah, just like
Shell-
a pretty
I just
raw
mean-
stuff thing.
I just mean shells that are shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
okay.
All right, so you make your way back to the bazaar, and you've got some business you want to conduct. Some of you want to go get some bitter rockweed. Some of you want to visit Yalafir again. So how are we doing this?
I'd like to go to see Yalafir.
Okay, so you go to see Yalafir. Is everybody going at once, or are you splitting up?
I'll go with Soda.
I will also go see Yalafir.
Okay.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I'll
John.
check out what's at the bazaar. I mean, I do have some money.
Yeah. Wandering around the bazaar, I mean, basically anything you want to buy, you can buy here. It is, it's, and it's really just like the wealth of the Leopard Isles opening up again to outside trade. And then, people from the Southlands, people from across the Great Desert that are bringing their wares here to sell. It's really incredible. Even in Semkankar, which is obviously, the greatest city in the northern world, you've never seen anything quite like this. The closest thing in Semkankar would be Thorintus Field, which is kind of this area. Used to be outside the city, and now it's, as the city has grown, it's inside the city wall near the Watergate. But it's kind of like that's where all the gambling happens. That's where all the that's where you go to have a good time in Semkankar. is Thorentis Field. There are all kinds of gambling going on here, but the most prominent is lizard racing. So there's a kind of a rock lizard that's native to the Leopard Isles, and they're just like small coked out iguanas basically, and but they're very aggressive, and they also tend to, so you can like hear like sound like people shouting and getting excited and you know like cursing and screaming and rejoicing, you know, just like as there's kind of this pit off to your right where people are placing bets basically on the lizards as they race around the pit. So that's like kind of like one of the big things going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lizard racing.
Yeah, lizard racing. Yeah, I mean it's like betting on like greyhounds or something, but obviously much smaller. So
I think what I'm interested in is collecting something that holds water, but something that is perhaps unique to the city or unique to the islands.
I can hold water.
not very well. You're a little leaky.
So that would be one request, and then a few practical things, I suppose, of firewood and tinder and
the most kind of unique container here in the Leopard Isles would be the the pottery. The pottery here is very bright, it's very ornate. You know, you can buy pots, jars, crafts, etc. with pretty much anything depicted on the sides, like you know, legendary battles, ancient myths, recent events. There's a lot of stuff with like the Black Panther on it. I mean, that seems to be very popular. A lot of people are selling that kind of stuff.
I'll probably stay away from the stuff with the Black Panther, but certainly something with a myth on that I would probably be familiar with.
So there are the myths of like the great heroes of your people, Senkan, and then back before him, Orusen, and you know, Orusen slaying the serpent is always a very popular iconographic scene.
Yes, I think I'll take the one from my namesake.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Yeah. Absolutely. Easy to get.
I don't particularly bother haggling. I just buy it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Like a rich person does. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Is it possible? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say on the way to Yalafir, could I stop and I want to procure some like tent pegs and then some wire.
Yes, you can certainly get that in the bazaar. I don't know why, but let's say 5 silver stars for it, and then 15 for your pot or for your jug or whatever it is.
I would like to visit an armory, and I would like to acquire. So I'm looking at the smaller sizes. I'm a fairly petite woman. The smaller sizes, I'm looking for the strongest armor that they have.
Okay.
But something scaled smaller, right? Because the average warrior is going to be a lot bigger than me. So I'm looking for something that is both small and very, very strong.
Yes. Well, I mean, the best armor in these parts is the stuff the Kothorlas make, and there certainly are some of these strange folk from the east here selling their wares. The Kothorlas are about as tall as Emborians. They tend to have kind of sunburnt skin and forked ears, and although opinions differ as to whether that is like something they're born with or if it is actually a mark of their slavery to the great worms of the east.
And I have culture other at 25, which means I know one other language. Given my very high trade score, would it be reasonable for me to speak Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm going to address them in their native language, hoping
Okay.
to make a good impression. I don't know if it's common to speak their language, but I'm hoping that, you know, if they see someone from so far away speaking their language, they will be inclined to deal favorably with me in terms of money.
How may we serve, Madame?
I am looking for armor for someone smaller than me. What do you have? Or about my size.
Armor for one smaller than yourself. Madame perhaps seeks a gift for a young princeling. Or
Yes, back home in the north.
yes. We have such things, both decorative and functional.
Functional. The north is a rough place at the moment. Beauty would not be dismissed, but my priority is function.
Among the servants of the great worms, beauty is function. We have breastplates, chainmail, and a fine mesh, which I think your people prefer. It is as light as silk and just as resistant as chainmail to the edge. Against the point, it is less proof than a breastplate, but it is light enough. It may be worn beneath a shirt.
I would like the mesh and the breastplate.
For the breastplate, in the size that you seek, it will be 150 silver stars. For the mesh, an additional 300.
You jest, surely.
My people are not famous for their sense of humor. This is fine work.
Nor would you be famous for your trade at those prices.
Those who know what they are buying are content to pay these prices. These are made of steel forged in dragon fire.
May I roll trade to sort of abstract some haggling?
Give me a trade roll.
Very good. Success?
Oh, where is it? Hold on. There we go. So the price that he's quoting you for the breastplate and the mesh is actually a little bit on the low side for
Okay.
something made by the Cathorlas. There isn't a ton of room to bargain here. Now, obviously,
Okay.
I mean, basically, like that same amount of armor for a full-grown person would be like 2,000 silver stars.
Okay.
So you're paying he's asking about
Right.
a fourth of that cost, but it's for
Okay.
obviously something that's a lot smaller. So this is like
Right.
a pretty
So
reasonable.
so I can tell that he's already kind of doing me a deal.
Yeah, he's already being like fairly gracious, and also like the Cathorlas, like they take their sort of role as like traders, like they take it very seriously. You know, he's not.
Yeah. Okay.
They have a
So
reputation.
he's not like trying to
for
like run a scam on me or
No,
anything.
no. They have a
Okay,
reputation for honesty and such things.
Okay. I am but a poor sister from a backwater village, so I cannot meet your price in silver stars. However, I do have a piece of ancestral amber that I carry, and I would be willing to offer that as part of a trade with the remaining money that I have.
He holds out a hand.
For the necklace?
Mhm.
Yep, I'll take it off. I can't take it off right now, but she'll take it off and she'll give it to him. It is a chunk of amber shaped like a fang from the trees of the petrified wood.
He takes it, holds it up in the light, turns it.
I have 130 more silver stars to my name. That is all I can offer you. I understand that you are being fair, and if it is too high a price, I will take only the mesh.
Such a piece of amber would be worth 170 of your coins.
Brings me to 300.
It's enough for the mesh.
Very good. So yeah, she will hand over her necklace.
I miss. Are we all with her?
I assume you guys have kind of gone on to Yalafir's tent at this
Okay.
point.
All
So
right.
I'll come to you guys
So
in a
She
second.
will hand over the piece of amber
Okay.
and the remainder of her coin purse in return for this mesh shirt.
Okay. So
Make a note.
meanwhile, the three of you get back to Yalafir's tent. You find it empty. Not empty, but just like Yalafir's not there at the moment. What do you want to do?
Really quick, what is the protection value of that mesh shirt? Sorry, super quick.
It's a protection value is 4.
Nice. Can I make a survival check to see if I see any footprints leading away from the tent or any
Absolutely. Yeah, give me
like
some
hot tea or anything that might
Yeah.
give me a hint of where he went and how long he's been gone? That is a success.
Okay. You definitely notice there is a it's kind of covered over by one of the cushions, but when you lift it back, you find there is a stain where like a beverage was spilled.
Oh.
And it's been spilled over what are very clearly some scraps of vellum. And there's also an ink stain on the floor next to it. Kind of glancing around now, I mean, the Yalafir is not the best housekeeper, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
you didn't really notice anything that was too amiss when you first arrived, but once you started paying close attention, there has clearly been some kind of a scuffle here, and somebody was dragged out.
Oh. I tell the rest of the party what I'm seeing. Is the ink dry or is it still wet?
Still wet.
Still wet. Someone was dragged from the tent recently. This ink is not yet dried. We may have gotten our friend into some trouble.
Sister Kjanlei, as you leave the armorers,
Yep.
a flash of scarlet silk kind of catches the corner of your eye.
Scarlet, like scarlet.
Mhm.
Okay.
And you see a woman's form kind of moving back around the corner, almost like she's trying to stay out of your eye line as you emerge from the
Okay.
fence.
So just being mindful of time. I'm gonna
Yep.
have to go.
Yeah, don't worry, don't worry. I'm being conscious
yeah.
of it as well.
Yep. So I would follow. She looks like she's trying to avoid me.
Yeah, it just kind of like ducks around the corner as you come out.
Well, that seems like a really excellent reason to follow her.
All right. As you round the corner, you suddenly find the cold steel of a dagger blade pressed against your throat. Hello, sister. It's been too long. And that is where we will stop for tonight.
Cliffhanger.
Done.
So Very good, everyone. This was really extraordinary. I had a ton of fun. I would just keep going all night. If you
Oh my
guys
goodness, me too.
deal with childcare, guys can probably hear my kids in the background. But anyway, I understand how it'd be. How many kids do you guys have?
3 and 1 on the way.
Yeah. Oh, glory to God.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Thank
congrats.
you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, this was part 1 of I'll think of a name of the. I don't know what I never named the adventures until after they're over. So anyway, this is part 1 of our little
There we go.
escapade, our little prologue to the Midnight War. And I hope everybody enjoys watching this as much as we've enjoyed playing it. Until next time, I'm Richard. This has been the sort of the Symbolic World crew, and we'll see you next time.